The major driving force of the U.S. university's continued development lies in school graduates' passionate donations. It's because developing the school from which they graduate is a shortcut to making their own degree more meaningful.
Right. So he's saying the first reason why people go to American universities is because, Korean American universities are great, Korean universities are what? What? Okay. Well, maybe not so good. Okay? And one reason why U.S. universities are much better is because they have a lot more money. Okay? Because they get a lot more alumni donations. Okay? So Harvard gets the most money. They're also ranked number 1. Okay? Or oftentimes. Now, the second solution is what? The author states because, the second solution is to make our universities more global, more international. Okay? So can you read this? The alternative? To activate?
Activate the international exchange of foreign students by developing Korean universities. I think it's necessary that Korean universities should make a remarkable growth by area.
Right. And the third is that, that Korean universities are too undemocratic. Okay? So can you read this, students?
In other words, students wish to get out of excessive hierarchy between a professor and a student while earning for the U.S. equal free learning atmosphere. I've also experienced such hierarchy even at the school I presently go to. Ironically, most professors, even in the Department of Political Science and Diplomacy, obtain their degrees in the U.S.
I think they all receive their degrees in the U.S. Okay, but they're still bad. That's her, not my point, her point. Okay, I don't want to be fired. Okay, now, okay. So she's saying there's a power struggle between school personnel. Can you read as a professor?
A professor at my department once complained about the situation where he was always isolated because he received a PhD in France instead of the U.S.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so I said, okay, lastly, the author said many students want to be a cosmopolitan elite. Can you read this? I am sorry.
I'm sorry that they think they can become a cosmopolitan elite only through studying in the U.S. English.
Right, so she's saying that maybe we can be cosmopolitan elites also in Korea, because Korea is also becoming like this international society. Okay, so I want to discuss those points one by one. Okay, thank you. What's your name? Miss Taeyang. Yay. Okay, now, so this author, Mr. Kim, okay, he actually teaches at Kyunghee University. I thought it was kind of ironic. He said like Korean universities are so bad, but he teaches there. It's like, anyway, what's your complicity? Anyway, one of the things he stresses is this kind of hierarchy, right? And so we also have this at many universities, including here. And then, in terms of professors, there's hierarchy because the French professor, he got his PhD in France. I think he's also Dr. Kim, right? Another Dr. Kim. Let's say Junior Kim, okay? And then Junior Kim, he's only a 강사, lecturer. So 강사s make, so there's tenure professors, and then there's 강사, lecturers, right? And then lecturers make about how much money compared to tenure professors? They make about, anybody know? They make less than half, okay, for the same amount of classes. And so the Junior Kim, I think he teaches at like 3 or 4 universities. So he teaches like, I think like maybe a lot of classes, maybe like 8 at like 3 or 4 universities. And he still makes less money than the Senior Kim, okay? So that's the biggest gap between the tenure professors and the 강사, okay? And they don't have any like job security. And then me, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm a non-tenure full-time, so I get 80%. So it's like, So that means we can go Gwangju Market, but you pay. I'm not that rich, okay? if I was 강사, you pay for my food too. You pay for the 전철 ticket. All right. So there's a hierarchy among professors, and there's also a hierarchy. It's like the whole system is hierarchical. Okay. And then maybe like undergrads and grad students, like there's not that much relationship because, some professors think undergrads are kind of a waste of time because I should be doing like research and writing, as opposed to teaching. Okay, so 귀찮아, maybe just get it over with. Okay, but for graduate students, it's a little bit of a different situation. I think maybe like the European or American model, graduate students should be what? You should be, you go to graduate school to be what? To be a future scholar, right? So you should learn how to research and publish, okay? But instead of doing that, oftentimes in graduate school, instead of being training to be a future scholar, you're what? It's like being a comfort graduate student, okay? Comfort student. You're basically just like working as an assistant for the professors, because I think it's partly like Korean university. The professors think like I don't get a lot of money to do research, so I need grad students to like be free labor, okay? So they get the students to do this and that and a lot of things, okay? But then from the perspective of training like future scholars, it's kind of bad because they're not publishing anything. So none of the grad students here have published anything in English. So I think that's a really bad, it's a very sorry reputation, and I think it's a common problem in many Korean universities. Whereas in like American universities, at least the better ones, they're good and bad universities everywhere, right? But ideally in a good university or in my class, okay, I tell students, well, I want everybody to publish. So first article, we should co-author. I help you a lot. So I can be, and then second article, you should do most of the work. You should be first author, and then third author, and then third article, don't bother me, because by the third article, you should be single author. You see, you should be an independent author. So I think that's a good model, first co-author, first author, and then single author. Okay, so I think that's a really good way to teach, graduate students. Anyway, but it's not happening yet. Okay. The second point is that so Miss Yoon is asking, how can we make it better? Okay. So how can we remove the prevalent corruption and inefficient hierarchy? Okay. The current trend right now is to publish in English language journals. Okay, in political science it's called SSCI, Social Science Citation Index. Okay, I don't think any of our professors have published in SSCI, but we have some professors in other departments who have. Okay, but there's like pros and cons because just because the professor publishes a lot in SSCI, it doesn't mean that he or she is a good teacher. Do you understand? So like, I don't know. In my class, you're reading 3 SSCI articles from me. Okay, in the other class, you're reading that one about Israel. Okay, but it doesn't mean that I'm a good teacher, right? It just means I'm a good writer. But how can you measure if somebody's a good teacher? So I think that you might have to do things like you need to publicize student evaluations and test scores. Okay, so you need to maybe test students at the end of the year to see like how much they learn, such as like whether it's speaking or writing. Because right now, English speaking and English writing and speaking abilities of Hanyang students are very low, which means that you have very little chance of entering graduate school or companies. So you need to like raise your skills. I realized this because I'm trying to train graduate students right now, and they told me that all the other graduate students, they write their master's thesis in Korean, and if they apply to American universities, they all get their thesis translated into English. But who translates it into English? Do they translate it? No. Right, they pay for it. Well, like, what? It's like, that's almost like cheating. Because graduate schools, they want to know, you're supposed to send them your writing sample, right? But it seems like, they don't get the training, so that they actually have to pay outside people to translate it into English because they're not learning it here. Anyway, I think that's bad. Okay, I think you need to learn the skills that will help you get a job or help you go to graduate school, and those skills should be tested. And so, if the teacher is not doing a good job, then you should get other teachers. So, anyway, I think bottom line is that remember we read the Paul Tuff article, charter schools, at the first week, that maybe we need to make our universities more like hagwons or charter schools, like the democracy prep, right? Because all of you went to hagwons, right? Some hagwons are good, some are bad, but they have to be accountable. You have to learn something at a hagwon, right? Because if you're not learning something, what? Then they're gonna lose your business. Do you see? So I think in a way we need to make the universities more like hagwons. Force them to publicize what their students are learning, and force the universities to compete with each other. I think the problem with Korean universities is that it's too static. In terms of we have this hierarchy, we have this ranking system, and it doesn't change that much. Okay, but in America, university rankings actually change a lot. So for example, do you know what is the #1 university in America, the world? It's not Harvard anymore. No, not MIT anymore. The last ranking was actually from my state. What's the best university in California, in the world? No, it was actually Caltech. Right, Caltech. So, all right, Caltech was ranked #1. Okay, and I think Stanford was ranked like #2 or 3. California has 6 out of the 12 best universities in the world. California has half of them. Okay. And because it's really interesting from a Korean perspective, because California would be considered like jibang, right? But because they work really hard to develop their universities, they could beat Harvard and MIT. That means, so what's the California of Korea? Nice weather, laid back. Yeah, Busan or Jeju-do. We should make Jeju-do #1, or the University of Busan #1. Okay. Yes.
Like the universities that get more donations or are the wealthiest, they are the better ones, because basically the rankings are based on research, and for research they need a lot of money.
Right, in New York. And so democracy prep is not a rich school, but they have this school culture where students and teachers, they both work really hard. Okay? And you can imagine a lot of schools where, where the teachers, they just don't work that hard. And they don't really, and maybe they don't devote a lot of time and energy and creativity to enhancing the educational experiences of students. So I think it's not just money. Okay, I think you really need teachers who are really smart, and so you need teachers who are both smart and caring. Okay, so you need to okay. All right, so let's get other people's perspectives too. Okay, ladies first. All right, okay. Do you guys have anything to share about the universities? Are you, how do you say satisfied? 기특해? Okay, are you 기특해 or not 기특해?
About what?
Your educational experience.
In Korea?
Yeah.
Graduate school is not bad, but I think graduate school is very problematic because one friend, the guy studied in business school. Yeah. Yeah, he studied in business school, one university, and his professor little abused him because the professor told he has to deliver the textbook to the professor's son. Yeah, because yeah, it is just one thing he experienced, and the professor said also the professor has to attend it one meeting, so he has to drink. So my friend has to deliver his car to the professor's home, and he come back to his home. Yeah.
Can you make me coffee? Okay. What university was that? Kind of secret? Was it top university or low university?
One of the top.
Oh, really? Okay. Can I get experiences from maybe outside of Korea, Mexico, or? Yeah. Well, what was your experience like? Was it pretty good? Did you have good? Did you have like a egalitarian kind of equal relationship between professor and student, or was it very distant? Or was it kind of hierarchical? What was it like?
Some teachers are very strict, and some of them are like they like talking to students and stuff like that.
What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Rasaid, and I'm from the Netherlands.
Okay.
For me, like ever since I've been in university, it's not like I can get a close relationship with one of my teachers because they change every 7 weeks, and also they have so many classes because when you do certain study, everybody has the same classes. It's not like here that you can choose the classes you want to do. And I've never seen a teacher asking a student to like do this or do that for me. That would be just weird. Like in the Netherlands, you could file a lawsuit against them. Like, what is this? This is my teacher. He's not supposed to treat me like that.
Right. So everybody's like an independent Asian. So you don't feel like you don't feel like strong bond with the professor. You don't go out for dinner or drink.
Never.
Never.
No, that would be just weird. Like, I know.
Drink with me? Was that weird?
I know, but like that's the Korean culture, I guess. But in the Netherlands, I can't even think of one teacher I would be going for drinks or dinner with.
If you want to speak, come on up.
She also studies in the Netherlands, so maybe she has a different view.
She said, I drank a lot.
You did?
Basically the same. Like, I think it's basically my experience is the same. Only that I think that the teachers on a different level, the teachers are closer to you because the respect level is just lower. Like you don't have that. You don't call them. I don't call any of my teachers professor or teacher or anything like that. And some of them, I even call by their first name because some of them insist that I call them by their first name because probably they feel that they're not that old that we should be calling them by their last name, and they kind of want to feel young. I don't know, midlife crisis or something. And there was like one teacher I remember, and he asked me to drink a coffee with him, and I like felt like completely like that's inappropriate. Like that's like inappropriate completely. That's just like yeah I don't know, like this is like what do you want like this. So
I'm the professor and you're the student. It's a very distinct role. But maybe in some Western universities, it's like very equal. But sometimes it's too equal. So I remember like when I remember when I had a girlfriend at Wellesley in Massachusetts, and they have this tradition where professors would take their students
Oh, hell no.
And then it was not illegal.
That's not, it's not? Yeah, you can get fired, and also,
Depends on the university.
no, not in the Netherlands, it doesn't depend on the university. Like, like, and in Germany also, it doesn't depend on the university. I'm pretty sure in England it doesn't depend on the university. You can't just date your teacher. You can date your teacher? No, because also then there might be preference for you, your grades and stuff like this, because he's like, what's it called? Can she come here?
Well, at my university in Germany that I went to in my last semester, I heard that we had a professor who was dating one of the students. I mean, she was one of the older students, and they had to. I don't know, I'm not sure, but I think maybe undergrad. And, well, they had to prove that it was really like love, and that she didn't have like any of his courses or anything, so it was okay. Yeah, but they still had to go and say like, it's love.
But it is like, and it's not like common. Just so you know, like I mean, that's not common. Yes, but as she just said, like you cannot be in his class because then he's gonna give you better grades and stuff. Other people will protest against that. It's not cool. Yeah, we smoke with our teachers too. Yeah. If they want a cigarette. And also, women don't really smoke here publicly. I noticed they go behind corners and smoke in the corners, and you never see girls smoke on the street. So I think it might be a scandal even if they smoke just without the teacher. How about drink a coffee? But what if, like, for instance, in my university, like, okay, in the Netherlands, it rains a lot, like massively. And then there's like this little room in front of the there in several different areas of the universities. There's like these glass rooms where you can stand inside the glass room outside and smoke. And like they're really small, and teachers smoke and students smoke, and then you're just in there. And then what if you're there and your teacher's there and he's smoking, you're smoking, and what are you supposed to do? Not talk with him? Like then you're just there, like, and you're just like, yeah, I can't talk with you. I'm just gonna. Yeah. It would be weird to ignore them and. Like, you're there, but I'm not talking to you. Like, in the rain. Okay, we don't have that.
Especially we can't smoke in the community. So first of all, that would be illegal. Second of all, they definitely have all the teachers knowledge to do. Right. Also, when I think about universities, I'm trying to imagine where people smoke in my university. Like, where are the professors? They're definitely not smoking. They definitely have their own room. Sweden do have a much earlier.
I think it depends on the teacher. For example, I remember when I was in high school, in my last year in high school, we have a philosophy teacher who was very cool with the student. For example, I remember every week, one day we eat with the teacher, we smoke with the teacher. It was I don't smoke, but some of the students smoke, so it was okay for the high school, for the other teacher if we have some close relation, some friendly relation with your teacher. It was okay because if everything is clear, everything is clear for everyone. It's not flirting. It's just friendly relation. It's okay. But for example, if a teacher wants to take a coffee with you, it's not very clear. So it's not the same relation, I think.
When I was high school student, there was one of my friends, and there was a math teacher, and she was a little, I think she was 12 years much older than us. But after the graduate university, I heard that he's going to marry with her, and then he sent me the postcard. And then we were very shocked, and she was almost 40, and then we always thought that she was a just teacher. Yeah, that's not no offense, but in that time in Korean tradition, there is word said you shouldn't step up on your teacher's shadow, even on shadows. So there is big respect word, something like that, invisible word. So yeah.
homework. Okay? The whole reason why I'm competing with you is I want you to do more work. Does it motivate you when I love you? Does it motivate you to work harder? Say yes.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but there might be some kind of law or rule in Sweden that, because I don't have any of my professors' phone numbers. That would be so weird. But I know a lot of people here do have that. I would never have that in Sweden, not in high school, not at the university. And I think in Sweden, the teachers could be really caring. I had a lot of teachers who've been like, if there's happening, especially if there happens like a big event in Sweden or something, a terrible accident or something, or they just know that we have a lot to do, they could start like 5 minutes of the class and be like, okay, let's just talk about how everybody's feeling. Are you okay? Or we know that this terrible thing happened, or I know you have an exam next week. Are you okay with that? Blah, blah. But then the class starts, and then it's nothing. Because you do those things in class, but not outside of class. You see what I mean? So you could still care, but in the rules of the time, because there's still hierarchy in Sweden as well. And you're not allowed like to smoke outside or drink outside. Don't think you're allowed. No. No, I guess it's a good thing. It's working, and I think it's different which department. Like my department is quite small, anthropology is not that big, so the one like the head of the department, she's really caring about it. She could mail us like now we're on exchange. She's like, "How are you guys doing? Are you okay?" But that's still through school. But that's still during about school, and that's our school emails. It's not like she will ever write on me on Facebook or anything. That would be weird.
What about you? What do you think about maybe I don't know. Nah. Let's say it's not that distant, our relationship with professors. It can be, you can call them by his or her name, and you can ask him something, outside the classroom, not for a coffee, but, I didn't understand this, could we sit? And here in Korea, I think that everything is, well, at least the relationship is like really cold. You can't talk to him personally. You have to email the assistant so the assistant can tell something to him. Or, I don't know, much of my classes are just lectures, take notes and goodbye, that's all, and professor leaves without, getting feedback or something. That's just my point of view. Like consumer behavior, yes, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, of course. I would say just like, gee, what's up? Well, it's not illegal. It's not common, but I had in high school, I had like an experience where a professor said like, "This is my last class. I'm going. I'm. I don't know. Resignation is like I will resign. Yeah, I'm gonna retire." And we were all like, "Why? Why?" And he didn't tell us anything. And the next day, he announced that he was engaged with one student. So yeah, but you can't. Yeah, he resigned because of that. But you can't. I think you can't date a student if you're teaching to her. You have to be in another course or something. But I have to say the whole culture is like that. It's not only the professors. Like our whole culture is more closed between people.